Hello everyone and welcome back to the Gaming Theologian channel. I'm Nick Peters. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, support us on Patreon and Substack. Everything you do helps out. We're going to be continuing through Final Fantasy IV, but first... Okay, so this time we're going to be going into the Tower of Zot. And you might think, oh, that's that big tower we saw earlier in the game. No. Actually, you never see the Tower of Zot. Somehow it's located even higher up in the sky, and we just never get to go there. It's not told how it is that this tower exists in the sky. There's just so many questions about it. It is actually remade for Final Fantasy XIV as well. And once you finish this place, you can never go back. And now Gobez is addressing us, saying Rosa stands beside on the top of the tower. Bring the crystal and we'll make the trade. And says we better hurry lest anything unfortunate happen to her. But in this game, unlike Final Fantasy VI, which came later, there are no time limits. You can spend as much time as you want doing anything, and Rosa will still be safe. So no need to panic about this. Now these enemies are weak against fire. Anyway, with what we're going to be talking about tonight, last time I was with us, I talked about what men love in a woman when we're looking for a wife, and about female beauty. Well now, yes, Cesar's on a quest to stop Gobez, but this seems kind of counterproductive since he's giving Gobez the crystal. There's no discussion of some backup plan to double-cross Gobez or anything. So, why is Cesar doing this? There's only one reason. It's for the woman he loves. It's really that simple. Now, I do have concerns with emphasis on mercy in superhero dramas, where the villain will threaten to do something completely awful to the person the hero loves, unless they agree to give him something they want, or something that will put the whole world in danger, and the good guy does it every time. Look, I'm not saying it's an easy decision, but every now and then I think maybe, just maybe you should focus on saving the world, instead of just thinking, this is what I want, and I hope the world will find a way to live. But having said that, thing is, men go on quest for women. And I'm going to point to illustrations from scripture here. When you go to the book of Judges, you can tell where the society is at based on how women are treated in the society. At the start of it, we have the enemies going after the people of God, and Caleb says, if anyone will defeat them in battle, I will give them my daughter as a reward for that. Now, some women might think, oh, that's treating a daughter as property. Where in the ancient world, a woman needed to be provided for by a man most of the time. And this was her father's way of ensuring she got a good man, because this would be a man who was capable of defeating the enemy, thus could protect her, and was righteous enough to do so. And what happens is Othniel says, hey, sounds good to me, and goes off to do just that. And he defeats the enemy. He becomes the first judge of Israel. Now, later we get someone like Deborah, who becomes a judge as well. However, she's a prophetess, I think. Um, Barak was the true judge there, he just lacked faith. But she's held in esteem, as well as is Jael, who eliminates Cicero by knocking him inside the head, let's say. Basically, never go camping with this woman. Now, later on, there was a story where Saul wants David to become his son-in-law. Ulterior motives, to be sure, but he wants that. And David says, I really don't think I can do this. This isn't a light thing to become the king's son-in-law. And so there was a deal reached whereby Saul is really hoping David would die in the attempt, but he says, how about then for a bride price, you bring me the foreskins of 100 Philistines, and we'll call it a deal. All of a sudden, David is interested. Not that he wasn't interested in Michal before, but now he's been given a task that can show I am worthy of this honor. And not only does he get 100 Philistine foreskins, something you really don't want to think about, he actually gets 200 of them. This is what men do. But get back to Judges, again, since I lost track a little bit. When we move further through the book, we find where the last good woman, I'd say, is the mother of Samson, who has more spiritual sense than her husband does. But then we get to Samson and Delilah, and the woman Delilah is not a good figure to have. That she's someone who's trying to cure Samson, and yet he falls for it repeatedly. You have to wonder after a while what's going on with this guy. And in the end, there comes a time where the Israelites go to war against each other for various reasons. I'm not going to go into that. You can read the story yourself. But there is a town, there is a tribe of Israel, Benjamin, that doesn't have enough women left. And so the idea is made to them that, tell you what, we've got some, after they pretty much kill a time, I didn't go to battle with them so that the Benjamites could have wives. And they say, well, there's a festival coming out, and some girls are going to be dancing. And when you see one that tickles your fancy, go out there and capture her, and we'll make sure you don't get in trouble with their families for it. And that's what happens. And how does the book end after this? In those days, Israel had no king. Everyone did what was right in their own eyes. That's how far the nation had fallen. And oh yeah, before that, there was a concubine who was gang raped and cut into a bunch of pieces, which led to the whole war anyway. Brutal stuff. This is how bad things had fallen. If you want to know where society stands, look at how women are treated. But my point that I was wanting to make with that is that men love the thought of getting to go on the quest for the woman. Ladies, again, if you want to get your man to do anything, one great way to do that is to get him to go on a quest for you. Make it a mission that he has to do. Present it as a challenge. Practically make it a game, if you will. And a man is much more likely to do that. Because a man loves a quest. A man loves a challenge. And he will want to rise up and face that challenge. If you want to get him to do something, nagging won't work. Present a challenge for a man to overcome. And he is much more open to doing it in that case. Because a man likes to overcome. A man likes to see a challenge and know that he succeeded at it. This is one reason men like myself love video games. They present us a challenge and they ask, can you handle this? Can you overcome this challenge? And there is a lot of joy in doing just that. A man can get incredibly frustrated at a game if he seems to keep losing. But the moment he wins, oh yeah, there's joy at that point, because he rose to the challenge and he can often forget easily all the times he failed along the way. Men love to fight for the woman they love because for them it is a way of showing love to them. It's their way of honoring the women in their lives. If a woman's in danger, a man is one who wants to protect her. Men like to protect. There's a hidden rule of RPGs that says that that a man, a boy will fight to the death for a woman he met just 3 seconds ago. There's a lot of truth to that. You might think it's crazy and ridiculous, but we never claim to be sane with this. The male desire to do something for a woman often overrides common sense. Yeah, the good thing about that attack is it doesn't do a lot. you can make all the jokes you want about a man's sex drive and things like that with that, but that's the way it is. Men will put themselves at risk for women. Men will do some of the stupidest things in the world for the love of a woman. Actually, we'll do that stuff just for praise in general. A man will put himself in great risk to his health and well-being just on the off chance of some other guy saying to him, "You a man!" That means so much to us. And when it comes to the women we love, we want them to look at us and say, "You've a man." That's of huge importance to us. We want to be someone you feel safe with, someone you cherish. Now, ladies, don't deny your man the joy of his wanting to do things for you, really do things for you. And when years ago I worked at a movie theater, it was the first job I ever had, and it was a movie theater that was at a mall at the time. Some of you younger people might not know what a mall is. Look in your history books, you'll find out what they are. But we often didn't get out of there until midnight. And when it was time to leave, I mean, yeah, I was just 18 or so at the time, but I would walk the women out, go out with them at the end of the day, and tell them, if you ever hear anything, any danger comes, anything like that, I want you to run and get somewhere safe. And don't worry about me. Just run. Make sure you are safe. That was my number one concern. And when I got them to their cars, I would wait and make sure their car started and they were able to drive off. Because I never wanted to see anything happen to any of them. And when I was married, when I was walking down the street with my ex-wife, I'd walk on the side closest to traffic. So if anybody happened to veer off, if any sort of accident happened, they'd go through me first. Okay, now these are the Magus sisters, servants of Barbacia, Lord of the Wind. And the battle is kind of like Bagan, if you remember him. You have to fight them in the correct order. And this time reflect is used right from the start. And the one to take out first is Cindy. So we're going to pow everything up on them because they use a delta attack. Once Cindy's taken care of, they can no longer use that. Yes, I actually don't find them as hard as Bacon is, because their attack only comes at one time. My Magus sisters did come back as an Aeon in Final Fantasy X, and they're actually the bosses of the Tower of Zot in Final Fantasy XIV. They follow the same predictable pattern every time in the battle. We'll make sure that Taylor doesn't run out of hit points here. The thing is, their magic, it just doesn't do enough damage to take out your characters here. And the physical attacks are just weak. So we're not going to have much problem here. Bio's probably the most annoying spell because it winds up draining hit points as well. See, if you look at Sid's hit points, they're going down consistently as a result of bio, and it's not poison, it's more of a sap condition. But now that Cindy's gone, the rest fall very, very easily. Yeah, that wasn't a good move on her part, because all that does is make sure that Cecil attacks more often, and his attacks are more powerful. But we're not going to take chances, we're going to go back and save after that. And I'm going to have Tella heal us all. Yeah, we're all healed up here. And here we meet Gobez, who demands the crystal. Says to hand it over or Rosa will die. She does. And now Gobez is going to go back on his word. And Tella wants his revenge. What Tella is here is actually a good lesson in anger. As Gobez just seen back seeing this whole thing, and well, he's not very impressed. And now comes the time casting Meteor. And the party telling him that he'll destroy him, but he doesn't care. Here comes Meteor. And just like that, Terra collapses. Gobez is still walking around though, and Kane over there is out of that. Meteor broke control he had over him. And Cesar's asking Gobez, well, why don't you just finish me? Gobez is, you, what's going on? As we'll settle this next time we meet. Meteor weakened him, and Tella he failed. He lost himself in his own anger and begs us to avenge Anna. Says, "Get up, you old geezer." That's what anger uncontrolled can do. Anger is fine if you use it for the right purpose, but not if it controls you. Here's Cain. Very apologetic, doesn't know what he's done. It's not explained where Gobez went in here, because there's not much place to go. Personally, Cecil and Rose are one of my favorite couples here. Since you realize what? Spit it out! Kane's back to normal. The meteor broke Gobez's spell. And he says he wasn't complete under Gobez's spell, but he tried to keep Rosa close at any cost. Because there was a hidden implication here that Kane really is interested in Rosa, but she's taken. And now she wants them to fight together. But he says he doesn't deserve the honor. But Cecil wants them to come along. Now we have Kane on the back row, because he can do just as much damage with his jump. And we'll equip the Medusa arrows. So get rid of the prisoner's wear, put on that Sage's surplus add there. For Kane, we're going to give him the Blood Lance we found earlier, which drains hit points from enemies, and lets him have them instead. That sure was close. But we're not done here yet. For Lord of Wind, Barbarisia, whose name comes from ding 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 ding, Dante's Inferno again. And Cain is directly challenging the Fiend. Now, when she's in that wind state, it's best to not use regular attacks. There's one attack really that can work. And that's to jump. Yeah, I didn't think that part through too well, but oh well. We're gonna see if that works. Now, how it is that Rosa gained experience and levels while being held as a hostage, I do not know. I can understand Cain, but not Rosa. Now, every time Rosa doesn't have to do any healing, we're going to have her pray. And it looks like the Asuna worked. Yeah, we're going to trust on Cecil to protect the weaker members when they're damaged. Hopefully, Rosa's praying can help any other time. You know, this is definitely the most difficult of the 4 fiends we've battled so far, but it's still very doable. Okay. Since Cecil has to be our protector, we're going to make sure he stays healthy. That way, all 4 of the fiends returned in Final Fantasy XIV. That's where in the Endwalker expansion. I recommend you go online and listen to the uh, to the music for the Battle of 4 Fiends on Endwalker, because it's very, very well done how they did a remake of it. It's orchestral. They've got a whole choir on the background. It's intense. And the only one we really need to keep his hit points up the most is Cecil. The thing with the stone effect is that it just takes so long for it to work in this game. Let's hope the prayer works this time. Ah, Rosa, you are letting me down here. We're going to hold off on Kane's actions until Barbarissa transforms. Just like that. Well, there you go. Again, the harder of the boss fights thus far, and defeated. But the last Elemental Lord still remains. And now the tower's about to collapse. But Rosa gets all of us out with a teleport spell. That somehow sends us all to Cecil's room. Okay. Rosa, what are you doing using teleport to go into Cecil's bedroom here? Just wondering. Now Kane has to tell us something. It's about the crystals. Kane says he doesn't have all of them. He only has 4. And Sid says about the legends with, yep, the dark crystals. And they're held in another world. Under the underworld, particularly. And that once crystals of light and darkness were gathered, a path to the moon will open. And there's a magma key somewhere where we can use to get to the underworld, and that's all Kane knows. And Sid says that he brought the airship back from the Tower of Zot by autopilot. But Cesar's also wondering why didn't Gobez finish him off at the tower. Now, fortunately for me, I do know where I'm supposed to go in order to get to the underworld. So, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to open up the path to the underworld. And next time, probably tomorrow night, we're going to see what waits for us there. Yeah, I told you all this town would be relevant later on. This is that town. In this town, there's this well that's seemingly bottomless. So, throw the magma rock down there. Yeah, I love how all the townspeople are still just going about their day like ordinary here. Oh, since I brought up the moon, here, let me see if this is where it's at. Yep. You can actually look through a telescope here. Oh, if I could do more. The world has 2 moons, and one of them is showing signs of life, and it's turning red. Yeah, this whole event happens with that, and the townspeople are taking no notice of it. Very interesting. So, this is where we are now. Ladies, give your man a quest. He loves it. These people are follow me on Patreon and become a donor. Even becoming just a basic $1 or $2 donor would mean so much to me. And like, comment, share, subscribe. Let other people know about my channel, and I'd really love to see some good discussions going on in the chat. For now, I'm Nick Peters, a gaming theologian. I affirm the virgin birth, and I'm signing off.